All right, viewers, the focus on the show today is the gun violence, the gun culture in songs. And of course, Haryana is the focus because amid growing concerns about the glorification of violence in music and its effect on young, impressionable minds, Haryana Chief Minister Nayab Saini has now slammed songs promoting gun culture, stressing the need for responsible content that positively influences society. In fact, he was addressing a press conference where he acknowledged the impact of films and music on youth. Saini stated that his government is ready to bring a law to curb such songs if it is needed. The Chief Minister also urged for content that fosters patriotism and constructive values. He said that it is very important to ensure that the songs that the artists put out, in fact, influence people in a positive way. Before we go across to a guest to understand whether this is now a creative curtailment, whether it's a curtailing creativity or whether this is something that is the need of the hour, let's listen in to what the Haryana CM had to say.
नहीं देखिए, जब उसकी आवश्यकता पड़ेगी तो जरूर लेकर के आएंगे, परंतु क्योंकि सभ्य समाज के लिए, क्योंकि बहुत सारे इस भारत मां से प्रेम करना चाहिए और समाज को एक ऐसी दिशा दें, ये समाज का ही दायित्व होता है, क्योंकि कई चीजें ऐसी होती हैं, फिल्मों का कल्चर जब आता है आप देखते हैं, लोग फिल्मों से भी प्रेरणा लेते हैं, आपके सामने है, क्योंकि अब फिल्म के से प्रभावित होते हैं लोग, फिल्मों से, गानों से, अच्छे गाने होंगे तो समाज को एक दिशा भी मिलेगी.
All right, to discuss more on this, joining us right now, Jasmine Sandavalia, BJP spokesperson, Nirmal Kaur, former IPS officer, advocate Mahima Singh, Congress spokesperson, and Kasthuri Shankar, actor and activist. Before we go across to our guests on the panel, let me also tell our viewers that, again, this is something that the Haryana government has been talking about for a while now. In January as well, they took an action, a special operation to ensure that such songs are curtailed. And Haryana is not the only state that has been strictly focusing on such action. It is Punjab as well. With that, let me go across to Jasmine Sandavalia, BJP spokesperson. Jasmine ji, first of all, help me understand the logic behind this. When your chief minister says that ensuring that such songs are banned, there is some sort of a limitation, the gun violence will come down and eventually the crimes will also come down. What's the logic behind this?
See, the logic is very plain and simple.
All right, we seem to have some issue there with the network of Jasmine ji. We'll, of course, try to patch her back. But let me go across to Advocate Mahima Singh. Advocate Mahima Singh, again, one of the things that we are hearing here is that the fact that some of the governments are not able to control the law and order situation in their state, all of this now is being used as a distraction. And also, the complaint coming in from some of the activists is that some activists are selectively being targeted. What's the Congress's assessment? Do you laud this effort? Do you think this is the need of the hour? Or do you think this is just a diversionary tactic by a government that is failing to control law and order?
Jai Hind. Ashish, I believe that there are enough laws in place. What we need is an impeccable implementation of the laws that we have. I think it's good that finally the BJP and its chief ministers, its leaders are talking of reining in their own unruly elements. Because I would say that the kind of violence, the hate speeches we have seen in the past nearly 11 years is unprecedented. You see, why only talk about songs? Why only talk about media? Why not talk about their own leaders who say, Goli maro salo ko? You see, when such a call for violence comes from a sitting cabinet minister, which we saw in the past, then what can we say of singers and actors and Bollywood stars? So it's finally, it's relieving, it's relief giving to see that the BJP is talking of mellowing down the violence and call for violence. We hope that their own leaders and their workers, unlike what happened in the Maharashtra and other states, Nagpur, what we saw recently, we hope that the BJP will practice what they are trying to preach.
All right. Nirmal Kaur, you're a former IPS officer. You know how the law and order situation works. Does banning a song really help? Do you think it will actually bring down such cases of violence? Because we saw something similar happen in Punjab a couple of years ago. The reality, if you look at the numbers, is that the number of crimes have not come down. So clearly, it is not working. Why do you think the Haryana government is trying to push it now?
Is the soft culture. I mean, the culture, this is a soft part. Culture, your literature, your things, whatever they glorify or they talk about, that definitely has an impact on the psyche of the society. So if guns are glorified, if violence is glorified, there was this Moosewala and that Aulak gentleman, they were, glorified violence cases were also registered. But those are very few and far between. The toting guns, going around, you see you're showing visuals right now also. I mean, part of song albums, it is so bizarre. It is you're promoting violence, you're glorifying violence, you're presenting it as something very desirable or aspirational. So whatever we see as aspirational in the media, in the movies, in our literature, that is what most of us go for, because a child or even an adult psyche, it is normalizes violence. You are normalizing violence by making it such a mainstream thing that a very dashing singer or a very dashing guy, an achiever in life who's aiming big, is so freely talking of guns or touting guns or out there showing off guns, and that's part of the main culture. That is not desirable. I think that brings a lot of violent thoughts and violent. You
Okay.
normalize violence by doing that. Violence is not a normal thing. I mean,
Okay.
if there's any dissent, if there's anything, that has to be done by argument, by negotiation,
Absolutely.
by expressing yourself.
Let me get in Kasthuri Shankar
this,
here. She'll be able to best answer. Because Kasthuri Shankar, of course, belongs to the same fraternity. Kasturiji, do you think there's this undue importance that is being given to movies now? Do you think movies are so impactful that it's actually going to bring down violence if there's a curtailment, if the songs, or do you think, again, actors, singers are usually made scapegoats here when it comes to the law and order situation? And like Advocate Mahima Singh ji said, some of these people who are now talking about bringing in laws are the same people who also given hate speeches. There's no action against them, but they are now trying to curtail what the singers have to say.
I think I cannot speak for the entire country because each region is different in the way it reacts to violence. I can speak, however, on a generalization of how all of India reacts to movies, and that is there was a time, ek zamana tha, when people would watch movies and then try to enact certain favorite sequences or scenes in their real life as well. Maybe, but that also, I think, ek Dawn picture jab release hua, people were trying to dress like the Dawn and talk dialogues like the Dawn and say, "Mere paas maa hai." But I don't think people were going out and getting into gun chases. That said, I do understand that in Punjab and Haryana, gun violence is a problem. This is not the case in South India, where I live and work. We have a Pushpa, we have an animal. We watch that and we leave that movie in the theater and we come back home and we attend to our next day's work, right? So I think it is an issue in that part of the country, and therefore rules there must take into recognition their issues. So I support the government's views and efforts to curb gun culture. But that said, I think really the problem lies not with movies portraying guns. In this, I saw the video. I'll be very honest. I've never heard of Masoom Sharma before this controversy broke out. Now that video that is supposedly banned is viral because it's banned. When you ban something, it is viral. Everybody has seen it. And I saw it. He does not show shooting people. There's no effort to kill anyone or shoot anyone. There's guns. He's holding guns. He's sitting on a seat of guns.
Absolutely.
India
I
is
believe
not gold
Jasmine
medals in the
Sandawale from the
Olympics for
BJP is
shooting.
patched
So-
again. Jasmine ji, the question to me that Advocate Mahima Singh also posed is that why is there no action being taken against your own netas who come out and said, I don't want to repeat what Mahima Singh ji said, but hate speeches are so common in the nation now. If you put in such curtailments when it comes to singers and actors, why not have similar standards for politicians as well? Why do you only want to target comedians, actors, singers? That's the question.
It is not targeting the actors and it is not targeting the singers. After all, any government which is in power has to take care of the society and the time what it is going through. And we cannot deny that the gun culture is being propagated by a lot of Punjabi music and Hindi music in Haryana and Punjab. And unfortunately, the gun toting cinema which is being propagated. And just now that the spokesperson was saying that people are only seeing somebody carrying a gun. And if Moosewala, I'm seeing right now on the screen carrying a gun, what does it portray? And young minds and youth is very susceptible to music. And we cannot deny that cinema and music has a great influence on young people and on society. And in the last 20 years, and in fact, in the last decade, the number of incidents of violence and songs which portray violence have increased tremendously, and it is having great repercussions in our society. Look at the number of gangs which have come up in Punjab and Haryana.
Jasmine ji, is there some data that the BJP has that links gun violence to songs?
When Mahima says about the hate speech, and she says that BJP is encouraging hate speech, then she also has to be sensitive enough to understand that young minds are going to be susceptible. So she can't have an opinion on two sides. That one side, the BJP is doing hate speech, and the other side, the singers are allowed. Not every singer, but there is a segment of singers which are propagating violence through the music, and it should be stopped and curtailed.
No, but she's condemning both. Jasmine ji, I don't think you heard Advocate Mahima Singh ji. She's basically opposing both. She says that yes, this is a welcome step by the BJP, but also at the same time, you need to ensure that hate speech from politicians is also curtailed. Mahima Singh ji, I'll ask you to respond.
I want to say one last thing. When I want to respond to her question in 5 seconds. What did Rajiv Gandhi say when unfortunately Indira Gandhi was gunned down? Wasn't that hate speech which led to the massacre of Sikhs in India? Wasn't that hate speech? Wasn't that enough hate speech? I rest my case.
All right, Mahima Singh ji, you're showing some picture there. Can you just elaborate? What are you saying?
What is the point she's trying to make? I think it's very arbitrary. I think it's very vague. She doesn't probably even know what she's trying to talk about. While what I am saying,
I've answered you very specifically. I have answered you very specifically on hate speech, ma'am.
Better complete than
I have quoted an incident of a former prime minister.
What were the words? Please repeat the words, and then I'll show you what I'm trying to show.
जब बड़ा दरख्त गिरता है तो ऐसे होता है. इस करके मारो सिखों को.
So just a minute. Where is the call for violence?
This is a historical fact. I'm not making it. Isn't this hate speech?
One second, Jasmine ji. Let Mahima Singh respond. Mahima Singh ji, go ahead.
I think you see the BJP spokesperson is absolutely confused about a call for violence and a reaction to something that has happened. Now here is a news article from back then, from January 28th, 2020, from Indian Express, Ashish, where it says Minister Anurag Thakur chants Desh ke gaddaron ko and poll rally crowd completes Goli maro salon ko. Now the point is, where is this call for violence coming for, and who are these people who are responding in affirmative? That yes, you see, this is what we shall do. So what is the BJP trying to do there is what we need to ponder upon. Is that what the BJP spokesperson need to answer? It's not the Bollywood stars or other film industry artists carrying guns, but I would rather say it is our ministers, it is our heads of states giving a call for violence, a union cabinet minister at that point in time, you see, giving a call for violence when Ramesh Bidhuri on the floor of the House,
Prime Minister making a statement.
Another
Prime Minister making a statement.
The MP with abuses What does it prove? So here's a party that not only, reaffirms hate speech, calls for violence, but here they're trying to, we would like to see how are they going to curb it? How are they going to rein
All
in
right.
their own
I'll,
unruly
I'll,
elements?
I'll ask
Haryana,
Jasmine ji
the
to
state of
respond to that.
Haryana,
And Jasmine ji, one other question that I asked you, that you didn't respond to directly was that does the BJP government in Haryana have a data that links gun violence to songs? Is there any particular actionable data that you have based on which your chief minister now says that there will be a law that will be brought in if needed?
Allow me to make a point here.
I'm sure the chief minister is a very responsible politician, and he's a second-time chief minister. He's a second-time chief minister, and I'm sure he's done his homework, and that is the reason he's brought up the subject. And I want to repeatedly again say that nobody can deny that music plays a very pivotal role in a society. Please let me talk. I didn't interfere. Music plays a very pivotal role in a society. And the Congress spokesperson had a chance to speak, and I think I should also be entitled to say my pitch. I listened to her very patiently when
Jasmine
she was quoting union ministers. I have quoted a former prime minister of this country, and I have quoted a quote which is etched in the history, which led to the massacre of thousands and thousands of Sikhs in independent India, one of the largest massacres after independence in 1947. And let's not talk
I think we are going away from the topic now. One second. I think we are completely digressing from the topic. Let me get in Kasthuri Shankar here. Let's come back to the topic. Kasthuri Shankar, I really want you to respond. Let's take it away from the politics now. Please respond.
No, I actually find it extremely, I find it the theatre of the absurd. Very funny for me to watch these two very well erudite women spar over over who has more gun culture. To the Congress spokeswoman, I would like to remind you there are enough and more instances of Congress leaders brandishing their guns. One of the names here, Mr. Sunil Saraf, very recently celebrating his victory or whatever. I just had to Google, and immediately there are several names of Congress leaders coming up. So please keep your virtue calling to yourself. To Ms. Sandawala, I say the same thing. This is not about leaders and their virtue calling. This is about whether gun culture promotes violence in real life. If that were the case, I believe our biggest role models, at least I believe that our generation of people in India today are influenced not just by Haryanvi and Punjabi music videos. There is enough and more sources from where they can see violence. There are Squid Games on OTT available to everybody on their phone. And frankly, all guns don't mean violence. Maybe a gun can mean a gold medal in an Olympic tournament. Why don't we try to see where the problem is? And maybe that's why this is getting politicized, because most of the gun violence we see in the country today, and I speak for my state as well, is in some way fostered by political background. That is why gun-wielding gangs, terrorism issues, all of these have political connotations to it. That's why everybody is getting worked up about politics.
All right.
Otherwise, it's not about
before
movies.
Before I go to Mahima Singh for a concluding remark on this, Nirmal Kaur ji, you've been patiently listening to all the different aspects of this. One quick reaction, because of course you worked with the law and order, you know the situation, you've interacted with a lot of criminals as well, I'm sure. Do you really think songs, movies have such a massive effect that it can turn a normal person who has absolutely no inclination towards violence into a violent criminal?
Definitely.
Do you think they have
to,
such an impact?
The people do imitate, they do emulate what they see on the screen or in the songs what they hear. That has a massive impact, not only on young children, even on grown-ups. And they behave, they imitate, they emulate, they try to enact it. It definitely, the songs and culture and movies and media. And this brandishing guns, the way there's some visuals you've been showing, they're very common whenever you see music albums and all. The thing is, there's a certain etiquette to carrying guns. If you actually are a shooter, or if you actually use guns in real life, or if you've gone for target practice, First, you have to learn the etiquette. It's like table manners. What you learn before you sit on a table to eat. Similarly, guns have an etiquette which is totally violated in these kind of, the songs or the visuals or the videos. That has to be learned. That etiquette has to be in place because you can never point a gun at anyone, even if it is not loaded. You cannot brandish it like this. There's a certain, like a
Okay.
knife, the barrel has to be always away from, it has to be away from the people you're facing. But unlike that, you see all these visuals. They are brandishing guns as if, them totally we are in that criminal mafia world. Now, that is being eulogized, that is being glorified, and that is what we are learning. And this should not be a political issue. I think across board, everyone should think that how to have a safe society, how to, have good values, inculcate good values in our children, in our youngsters, in our society. That should be a common cause which should rise above the political considerations. I mean, the sparring, making it a political point doesn't just
We
make
should
sense.
rise above political consideration. Nirmalji, you say that, but we just saw our guests from the BJP and the Congress there having a heated debate. Mahimaji, you wanted to make a point. Please go ahead.
First of all, now I'd like to say to Ms. Shankar, Ashish, that it's not funny at all to me when leaders give an open call for violence. She's trying to name Congress leaders. Let me give her an open challenge. Please dig out one video of any Congress leader ever in the past giving a call for violence to the tune how the BJP leaders have been doing desh ke gaddaron ko and please understand the challenge that I'm giving you.
Sajan Kumar,
And then
Sajan
show me
Kumar.
what were the consequences they were met with. Now, the second and final point I would be making, Ashish, is that it is also not funny that for the first time in its history, when Haryana burnt down in No, it was under the aegis and leadership of the BJP. The state of Haryana has ever been an agricultural state. Once again, I would disagree with Ms. Shankar, who earlier made a point that Punjab, Haryana have gun culture. Haryana has agriculture. And that's what the state is known for.
Ma'am. I said I don't know about the situation.
GDP of this country. And so when you talk
Please
about
don't put
guns,
words in
I
my
would
mouth.
say that it has seen a rise in the crime over the past 11 years in an unprecedented manner. And that's a matter of fact. I rest my case there.
Who was in power in those last 11 years?
Kasthuri Shankar, earlier you were talking about, of course, the different cultures when it comes to the music industries and the movies. Do you really think it does make a difference? Because, again, when you say that there is a particular sort of a culture that we see in states like Haryana and Punjab, where people tend to emulate actors and singers more, let's also talk about, the movies down south as well. We see how heroes are worshipped, actors and singers are worshipped. So again, emulation can happen anywhere across industries. So what makes you say that a particular region has that tendency more?
No, I didn't say that. I said I don't know if it seems to me that there is, because there was a law in 2019 already which did restrict gun usage in various situations, including on screen, right? And this is specific to Punjab and Haryana. We haven't had such wild eruptions of violence or incidents of violence which have been directly connected to any movie or TV show in the South. So I wasn't making a statement. I was saying perhaps the situation is different there. Perhaps, and I speak for my region. I speak for the South. I don't know about the North, but I haven't really seen people having number one.
All right. Just 30 seconds left on the broadcast. Jasmine ji, you wanted to make a point before we wrap.
We have to ban all movies then. If movies are not moral classes.
Absolutely, Kasthuri Shankar. I agree with what you're saying. Just 30 seconds left on the broadcast. Jasmine ji, your concluding remark.
I would definitely say that music and cinema plays a very pivotal role in a society. And unfortunately, in the last decade and a half, the number of songs touting violence have increased. Music 15 years back in Punjab and Haryana had a different vibe, had a different script, had a different ring to it. But this certainly has to stop because we are facing different kind of challenges with gangism coming up, with gangsters trotting along with guns. And I think it's a welcome step that a government does need to look into factor
Absolutely.
that songs touting violence need to be curtailed.
Absolutely, Jasmine ji. I think the bigger question remains that is this a measure, is this a law that can actually bring down violence, or is this now just an eyewash, just a diversionary tactic from the law and order situation? Other measures that could have been taken, Jasmine Sandhya-Walia, Nirmal Kaur, Advocate Mahima Singh, and also Kasthuri Shankar, really appreciate you joining us on the broadcast. And viewers, on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of the broadcast. Lots more lined up on the other side. Stay tuned.